The school department announced late last week that they moved to the DPH guidelines for quarantine, which has also been adopted by DESE, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Superintendent Thompson explains the new guidelines.
So I'm here to kind of update the community on the new quarantine requirements. So what basically happened, and unfortunately, unlike some of the governor's orders where we have like a week of information gathering and adjustment, it was the new regulations or guidelines from the Department of Public Health were given out after our last school committee meeting. We did not have time to talk about it, but we have moved to the Department of Public Health guidelines. So we are now in sync with the health department here in Norwood. And those guidelines are basically for quarantine. And this is not if you have the virus. This is if you've been exposed. We're asking that people strictly quarantine for 7 days. If they have a negative test after 5 days of their exposure, they could not break their quarantine after 8 days. However, we do need people to strictly monitor their health, their temperature, et cetera, if there's any indication they need to go back into quarantine. The other option is to do so after 10 days, again, a negative test, and that would be released on the 11th day. And again, still have to monitor for the rest of the time. And the last piece is, a full 14-day quarantine. I'm not a public health expert. I'm not going to try to second guess why the change, but I think we're trying to get people to test earlier, to know, and realizing that it is difficult to stay home for 14 days. With that, the key thing is that we do need people to monitor the health, whether they're quarantined or not, whether they're exposed or not. If you are sick, if you have been exposed, you should get tested. If you're being tested, you should not come to school. We've seen a couple instances where people have been confused on that and come to school, and it has caused other quarantines. So if you're a close contact and that's been defined as being, with someone within 6 feet for a total of 15 minutes over 2 days, which is pretty easy to accomplish, that you would be considered a close contact. And we would obviously we want to have people be able to conduct their lives normally. So people sticking to that and staying home if there's any question or if they're waiting for a test is really, really important, because having a person who's been exposed or been in school and then they find out they're positive can lead to a whole group of people having to quarantine so we don't have a viral spread. So please ask everybody to keep strict on that. Take your temperature every day, keep an eye on your symptoms. And unfortunately, it affects people differently, so it just might be the sniffles for some people, where some people might have very realistic flu-like symptoms. So if you have any sort of illness whatsoever, take your temperature, call your pediatrician, and get advice. The other thing is that I do want to, again, thank parents and thank the community for contacting the school nurses in the case is that, unfortunately, there is a positive result, a positive test result, and that allows us to start our contact tracing quicker than waiting for it to come through the state system, which can take an extra day, sometimes 2, depending on where it's coming from. So just keep a screenshot of your test results if you get it delivered to your phone, and then share that with the school nurse. We need to have some sort of proof of the test result in order to move without it being in the state system, the MAVEN system. But that allows us to act quickly to ensure we don't have a secondary contraction. And that's been really important in keeping our cases down in the schools, keeping and squashing the spread. So I want to thank the community for their help with that. Everyone stay safe, stay well, and stay further than 6 feet apart.